Yo, 皆さん、Manga Sensei Podcast へようこそ. Everybody, welcome back to the Manga Sensei Podcast. This podcast is about 3 episodes in the making. Um, Third time is the charm. Today we're interviewing probably the nicest woman in the world because she's been so kind to me. Terrie Matsuura, the host and writer and the everything of Uncanny Japan. The podcast, which is one of my personal favorite podcasts, not only because Terry's so nice to me, but actually it's a lot of really, really good, interesting stories. And if you like Japanese folk tales and things of that nature, then this will be right up your alley. But Terry, why don't you kind of give everybody a quick introduction to who you are?
Okay, yes, I'm Terrie Matsuura. I came to Japan in 1990, so I've been here a very long time. I'm a writer. Got 2 collections, short story collections out. The last one was just nominated for a Bram Stoker Award alongside Joe Hill, Stephen King's son. And I also do a podcast, and that has been doing quite well. That 2 years I've been doing that, and it's kind of taken off in its own little way. And yeah, I live in Japan, small little fishing town.
But that's where, as we've talked about before, that's where all the good stories are at. They're actually out there in the Inaka.
Yes, that's what it feels like.
At least there's that little bit of wilderness out there when you get to walk by, the little Ginza statues the little Gizo statues on the side of the road, and everything kind of comes together. That's what your new little logo is on it. It's a Gizo, isn't it?
Yeah, it's an Ojizo, and so the idea behind the logo was that Japan kind of has 2 sides, right? There's the Zen, the quiet, the sweet side, and some people think that that's like all Japan. You come to Japan and there's gardens and there's Mount Fuji and everything's beautiful and serene, but if you kind of chip away that, you can go inside and there's the Oni. So that the logo is like half Ojizo, half Oni, and the Oni is the darker side, all the spooky stuff that I'm really attracted to. So it's kind of a representation of both the sweet, serene Japan and the spooky, scary, creepy stuff.
But see, that's I don't know. We were talking yesterday with one of my professors at BYU, Brigham Young University, and we were talking about kind of how wabi-sabi kind of evolved right out of this Han period. So you get like this pristine, idealistic image of Japan with the Mujo and all that fun stuff, and then it kind of just starts to fall apart, and they glorify this kind of falling backside of things before Zen kind of gets introduced, and it kind of reminded me of that a little bit because it's this nice pristine image. Then we start appreciating the moss covering the rocks instead of just the falling sakura blossoms.
Exactly. That's one of my favorite things about Japan, I think, is that they can appreciate and love both sides of that.
So why do you like the scary stuff? Because my wife loves the scary stuff, and I'm not a big, I like some scary stuff. I'm like more thriller kind of a movie guy, but I'm not a big, let's watch The Ring again.
That's a good question. I don't know. I think when I was young, I liked scary things, and I was one of those people that read, Stephen King when I was probably 11 or 12 when The Shining came out. So it was everything was new to me. But as far as Japan goes, I think what attracts me to it here is that Japan's such an old country, and it seems like it goes hand in hand. Like the other side is not so far away. That makes sense.
Yeah.
For example, when I first got married and with my mother-in-law, she would just tell me things like, just so many things. If I I bought some dishes or something, and I bought 4 dishes, and I gave them to her, and she's they're very beautiful, but she just freaked out because there's 4, and 4 means death, or the holiday, Setsubun with throwing beans to get the Oni, the devils, to chase them away and stuff. But it was like every day there was these things that she would say, and these beliefs and these superstitions, and at first they were a little annoying because everything I did was wrong. Like, you can't do that, you can't do that, you can't do that, because you're going to bring, death and destruction onto the family. But the more I kind of listened to her and asked questions and talked to other people, I realized there's kind of a reason for everything. So it just became really fascinating, and I wanted to get it out to a Western and English-speaking audience because this is Japan, and a lot of this stuff I read as many books as I could, and I don't remember reading any of this. Mm-hmm. So that started the writing, and then from the writing I had all this leftover stuff. I'm like, okay, now what do I do with this, because it didn't make it into the stories, and then that began the podcast, and that's where I am now.
It's interesting how, like, despite the big influence that Japan has had on, the horror genre in general, or even just these stories in general. My wife and I were watching, I don't even know what it was yesterday. I think it was like an episode of some TV show, and like the creepy ghost lady crawls across the floor with hair draped across her face, and she's all pale and white and chic black hair. I'm like, holy smokes! Like these horror stories, these the women in white, these Japanese yokai or whatever, or have influenced our culture just by the little bit we've been exposed to them, but there's just so much that they haven't been too exposed to at all.
Right. That's my dream. That's what I'm doing. That's my passion, is to get that stuff out. But more and more, I mean, since the internet came around, because when I started this, there was like no, very old here. There was literally go to the library and pick up books and read the books, and use a big dictionary to try to translate the characters and read. But now, there's a lot of stuff out there, so people are digging around. But still, even though that there's all this information out there, I get people that listen to the podcast. Just recently, I got a lady that she's a student at a university somewhere, and told me her story, and she found this weird, quirky thing about Japan that she wanted me to help her with, because she's researched all she can in English, and there's only so much she can find, and
right.
I'd never heard of it before. I'm like, oh God, it's awesome. I said, that might just be an episode if that's okay, because people they can dig up things, and but still there's still a lot out there that's not translated yet.
Yeah, and there's so much that is now almost in common knowledge within, like the comic books, the manga, and things that have kind of brought light to some of this stuff, but at the same time it's also kind of overshadowed what it used to be. I have a list here of 5 monsters that almost every otaku here knows, but who actually are they? And I was curious if you could tell me who they were.
Oh dear.
Okay, you ready?
Oh no.
Number 1, who is the kitsune?
Who is the fox?
What is a kitsune? Because there's a lot of
as in just a fox. Usually a woman that can transform. They're very shape-shifting is very big in Japan. A trickster, also usually a patron animal god of shrines. So if you see the torii, the red torii gate in front of a shrine, they often they'll have kitsunes on either side or something.
And are they good or are they bad?
I think that's another thing with in the long history of all these, even like Kappa. Like Kappa originally started out to be very nasty little folk, but they're also very cute. So kitsune, I think, are both kind of tricky and a little mischievous and malicious, maybe, but there's still good stories with them too. So.
Nice. Yeah, no, that's one of the biggest one. I had someone message me the other day just on Instagram. It's like, what's up with this 9-tailed fox thing in Japan? I just see 9-tailed fox, 9-tailed fox, 9-tailed fox. What is this kitsune thing? I'm just like, well, yes.
Well, me too, because I was, let's see, really quick, an aside is when I was doing a book signing back in Omaha, Nebraska, and these 2 guys came and they listened, and they were like manga anime enthusiasts, and they knew everything, and they were asking these questions. I live there and I do all this stuff, but I really don't have time to watch all the manga and read the anime. So in a way, they know the 9-tailed kitsune and all that stuff they were saying. I was like, okay, I need more time in a day to get all that in.
Amen to that. Okay, what are tanuki? What are these raccoon dogs?
Tanuki. Oh, again, shapeshifters. Kind of. They usually have like a little flask of sake with them. I've got one in front of my house. They kind of bring good luck. You can see Yeah, you could see them in restaurants in front of like izakaya and stuff too. They
There's,
thump their little bellies, and yeah, they're cute. I like tanuki a lot.
tanuki are really cute. They're really, really cute.
Mm.
I couldn't figure out what they were when I first went to Japan. I just saw all these, these weird looking bear things on people's doorsteps. And it's like,
Yes.
what in the, what is
Is that
this?
is the big straw hat? And yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And they got this little sake thing, and they're sitting on this weird looking like, double barrel thing. I'm just like, what's going on?
Yeah.
Not quite what I thought it was.
I know, yeah. I'm like, oh, how much should I say about that? It was funny. I was writing a story, a children's story once, and my agent was, it was about a tanuki, and he read it. And he said, "This is really good." And I researched tanuki, and he goes, "Can we just keep the part about their enormous testicles, and like not talk about that for instance?" I'm like, "No, I'm not going to talk about it."
Yeah, yeah, yeah. They do have giant testicles, and it's really fun.
Good luck. Good luck.
Okay, so the next one, and I know you like this one because this is part of your your story of how you got into this stuff is the kappa.
Yes, yes, yes. The couple, yeah, there's very close to my heart. So the story is when I very it's here, first married and came to the town and went to a temple near Mount Fuji. It was right under Mount Fuji, and walking around, and there was kind of it was what's it called, like a little hut. It was really dark, and it was there was like slatted wood across it, like something was being held inside. And I looked in, and it was a kappa, but it was really had this presence to it, like it's creepy, but it was just like the eyes or something. And I go, what the heck is that? I had no idea what it was, and it just stuck with me because it's got the beak and the freaky hair and the shell back and the webbed feet and hands. And it wasn't until I came home and I asked around that people started, oh, that's a kappa, and they started talking about it. So yeah, immediately went to the library and started reading up on that. But they are just these aquatic little, they're called, some people say water sprites, but not really. They really are
Mm-hmm.
just kappas. They're again mischievous. Even what's really interesting is even to this day in like some rivers, there's one Abe River near my house. There's areas where you're not allowed to swim, and I was like, oh, I can't. Why can't you swim there? And people are swimming over there, and I don't know why you can't swim there. And they said, well, there's a kappa that lives down there, and he'll pull you and drown you, or especially children, if you swim there. So it's just like one little area of the river that nobody goes to because they still believe there's a kappa in there that comes out and will pull you down. So,
Oh man,
yeah, yeah, yeah. Pretty.
dang,
I
that's
like that there's still stories and that people still believe them. That's just wonderful.
no. It kind of brings us. I don't know. That's that to me is when you kind of confront for lack of a better term, real Japan. I remember when I lived in
Mm-hmm.
Nagano Prefecture, in a
Mm-hmm.
little tiny town called Ina between Tatsuno and Ida. Just this tiny little
Oh.
town
Mm-hmm.
on the Tenryugawa, and
Mm.
I just left, the middle of Nagoya to come up and, go in this little tiny town for, I think I was there for 8 months or so on my
Uh-huh.
LDS mission. And it was kind of interesting. And I came, instead of seeing all the, the nice shiny bits of Nagoya and this giant train station and,
Mm-hmm.
the immaculate subway system and, the buildings that are way over my head as this, 19-year-old coming from Nebraska. And I go out to this countryside and there's, all these dilapidated houses and
Yeah.
these old ruins of temples that are just kind of just chilling there right beside my house. A couple of trees
Yeah.
growing around, and it's just there, and
Uh-huh.
it's really awesome. I loved it because it was
Isn't
like
it though?
growing up around this ancient ruins and an old story.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. All the stories that you really get when you live here, especially in the Inakas, you get the feeling that everything that the earth, is just so old. And yeah, like the history. By my house, there's a tiny little shrine, and I didn't know what it was. It was just small and cute, and wow. I went by and I was reading it, and am I reading that kanji right? And I read it again, and then I started asking around, and it's called Kubizuka Jinja. And what it is it's back in the day on that road, some samurai came through, and they just went through and lopped off the heads of everyone that lived there and lined them up on the road. I don't know why, I don't know what happened, but
What?
then it was haunted after that.
Of course.
So, of course. So then they had to build the jinja, and they had to, Osameru, they had to, pray for the heads and bury them in the bodies and everything. And then it was, now that that's there, it's okay. But it's just crazy the story. I don't know how old it is. I don't know the details, but yeah. So Kubizuka Jinja, yeah, the head grave Jinja shrine. That's nuts, but wonderful in a weird way.
Yeah, no, no. It was actually reminds me of thinking of going to those jinjas. I went to last year. I was in Kyoto, and I got to go
Hmm.
to like the exercise, one of those major exercising jinjas, and
Oh,
they had like all the stars on things. They walked around. They're white and red, and the little rain making sticks. It was exciting and super
yeah.
cool, I thought. But I remember they were selling, and this has become pretty popular lately in the States because people have been watching the Netflix special Terrace House,
Oh, okay.
and
I
they
don't know.
gave a
Yeah.
omamori.
Oh, okay.
And so, how would you explain to somebody what an omamori is? I tried to feel like it's like a charm, but it can protect you or give you like a good wish. But it's in some places it's like evil against evil spirits, and sometimes it's just like do your best kind of a thing.
Exactly. And there's so many different ones. So if you go to a bigger temple, they have like, and you know this, they have the boxes all lined up,
Hmm.
and you get for a safe driving or to pass university exams,
Yeah.
or if you want a relationship or you want a baby, or they're just like custom to whatever wish you want. And I feel I was really lucky. One day I was it's somewhere in Kyoto. It was a big temple, and I saw the priest come out, and okay, you know this.
Yeah.
They have these giant urns full of like ash, and they put
Hmm.
incense in it, so anyone can come and light incense and stick it in the ash and make their prayers.
Yep.
But he went and he scooped out a bunch of incense, like the ash,
Hmm.
and he went into the back, and I was kind of looking, and he was filling the omamori little whatever little cloth
The
things with
little
the ash.
bags.
So because you never open them, you just have
Right.
them, right? And you can put
Hmm.
them on your purse or you can put them in your car, but you don't know what's in them. And I once asked my mother-in-law if I could open it. She goes, "Oh no, you don't want to open that because your good luck will go away." So I never knew what was inside, but evidently there's a little ash and probably a prayer. But yeah, pretty much when people go to temples, that's what they do, right? You buy your omamori for whatever you need at the time,
No,
and
I have one from I think it was Katoyama. Katao-san.
oh, okay,
Because that's where I love Tengu. Tengu is
me
one of my
too.
favorite little thing. I think they're cool. I got big nose too, and so I relate. But my one of my friends he went back to the Kato Oyama and he brought me back an omamori from there, and so I've been having on my keychain. But I guess you're supposed to change them out like every 6 months or so.
Yes, yes. I thought, yeah, 6 months to a year, and then you go back and you have to give them back to the temple, and they'll put them all together and burn them and do prayers. And yeah, I'm not good at doing that. I always forget. I just
Yeah,
keep
I've
on
had
them.
this one for like a year now. I think I'm getting bad luck from it at this point. I gotta
You
take it back to Japan.
gotta get it and get a new one. And I also heard another thing I learned was that if you have too many, like too many omamoris or too many like good luck things,
Uh-huh.
that it's bad luck because the gods, like of course in Shinto there's
Hmm.
different gods, but they fight with each other, they get jealous with each other.
Right.
So if you've got like 15 omamoris, instead of getting 15 times good luck, you're actually lessening your luck because the gods are angry that you've invited other gods in and stuff. It's crazy.
You gotta choose me. You can't be flirting
Yeah,
around with all these other gods.
that's right, that's right. Safe driving, safe driving.
That's right. Okay, who do I need here? I gotta pick between my safe driving or passing this quiz.
Exactly.
Guess I'm walking. Like,
That's good.
I like those the Emma. The Enma are kind of
Ah,
cool.
mm. They're
Uh, those are exciting. We did my first semester back at university after my mission. I
mhm.
made a Enma board and I put it up in the Japanese house
Oh,
for New
neat.
Year's, and we all put up our Enma. And it was kind of I thought it was really cute. I'm like, yeah,
Those are fun too, and you can write more on them, and you can
yeah.
hang them up. And there's for different temples, they got different the horse or something else on them, and yeah, those are kind of cool. So
So if you need
much.
good luck, go to Japan because that's where it's all at. Obviously,
Exactly.
your rabbit's foot will only take you so far, guys.
Yes, yes. Omamori with prayers and ash in it, and an
Hmm.
enma to hang.
Okay, so
Mm.
tell us a little bit more about your show. So what exactly? If people are thinking maybe I'll go listen to Terry's show. She sounds like she's got some major connection to Pokemon here. Why should I go and check out Uncanny Japan?
Um, So basically, like I mentioned a little bit earlier, is it's all the research and stuff that I did. So when I want to do a story, and I just start researching something and go down rabbit holes, and there's so much good stuff, and I'm translating it as I go along, and I'm keeping notebooks, and I have all this like everything from superstitions, um, even words like words we have in Japanese that aren't in English,
Mm-hmm.
or again yokai. I think my next one I'm going to put up one pretty soon, but the one after that I think I am going to do Tengu actually. All kinds of old wives' tales too. There's a lot of really, really, really fascinating old wives' tales, and
Like you have to scrub the toilet if you're pregnant, so your kid's really pretty.
yeah, there's that. Yeah, or yeah, there are some, and Japan's not huge, but even area to area, they just change a little bit.
Yep.
Like spiders, spiders. If you morning spiders and night spiders. If you see a morning spider, it's good luck. You should never kill a morning spider because it brings right luck. But on the other hand, if you see a night spider, which could be the same spider, you have to kill it because night spiders bring burglars into the house and stuff.
Have you read
But
Mushi no
Mhm.
Iroiro?
No, that sounds
It kind of
interesting.
talks a little bit about it, not necessarily about that, but it talks about the different temperament of all the bugs in Japan.
Oh,
It's a cute little
cool.
story.
Oh, that sounds interesting.
Yeah, it talks about
Is it
like the
Lafcadio Hearn?
spiders, about being patient. The spider is the most
Mm.
patient because it will sit there in the windowsill and it will wait and wait and wait until it doesn't have to wait anymore, and it will catch its prey.
Oh,
So you can learn the spider is patient.
oh, I like that. Oops, the computer just okay. Yeah,
So
yeah. So, oh, I was just gonna say real quick. So yeah, so the spider went to depend. So for the most part, it's morning spiders good, night spiders are bad. But in Kyushu, because of the Hogan, the dialect, um, spider is kumo usually, but there it's
yeah.
kobu. So yoru kobu would mean night spider in
Hmm.
Kyushu, but yoru kobu also means happiness. So it's the opposite there because
Right.
if you see a night spider, oh, it's a yorokobu, it makes you happy, so you wouldn't kill a night spider there. So just little things like that I try to put in
What?
the podcast, just all these little quirky, and it's very short. It's only 10 to 15 minutes. I use binaural mics to, the idea is to have you in Japan, like I'm telling you a story about Japan while you're with me in Japan. So go to the beach or walk along rice fields with frogs in them or crickets or something, birds, rain, storms, all that stuff. So I try to do different ones each month. And yeah, that's fun too. So I get a lot of mail, people who listen to it. And yeah, a car goes by and they're like, oh, crap. But it's just the binaural mics. So,
Well, you mentioned that you used to go on walks with them, and that's why I thought was so good. Because, like, I mean, like, we do a lot of editing over here, and try to, I got 5 minutes to tell somebody how to, use to ieba and come up with good
yeah,
example sentences for it.
very good at
But
that. Mm.
I like those walks. I mean, I was talking with who was I talking? I mean, I don't think it was with you. I think it was with who was this with? It may have been my friend Shota from Kyoto. But it's
Uh-huh.
when you go around Kyoto, one of the best things you can ever do is just go off the beaten path and just take a walk around there because there's a element of peace that you get about just
Mm.
taking a nice walk around Japan. And
Mm-hmm.
I think that's why
Mm-hmm.
all the authors that I've ever read mention it, just going on little walks, and that's how all their stories almost start up. From Endo Shusaku all the way to
Mm-hmm.
Murakami, everyone's always just going on
Uh,
walks.
yeah, yeah. There is something, again, out of the city, in the country. Uh, yeah, yeah, I'm there.
It's a lot
I'm
of
with
fun.
that. That's what I'm trying to do.
Well, I think you're just doing an amazing job, and you guys should listen because actually, I find the car sounds don't bother me. I think it's quite lovely. It's like you're going on a walk with Terry every week or so.
Exactly,
You just
exactly.
kind of chill out, and she can enlighten you in more ways than one when it comes to
Oh,
Japanese folklore.
thank you. Mm.
Okay, so with that though, I do want to make sure everybody knows to go check that. But you also have something that you do on Patreon as well, right?
Ah, yeah, 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 yeah. That is so bedtime stories. So what I've decided to do is find old folklore tales, anything, something Japanese. Again, try to get stuff that's a little out of the mainstream. Sorry about that. So what I do is I go back and I find all these folk tales and folklore and stuff a little bit, not your normal ones like Momotaro and these things, something that's a little less known. Translate it, kind of reimagine it, because some of these stories don't end exactly great, so I just kind of retell it and read that to my patrons. So I call it a bedtime story. The music, my son does the music, is really cool, this like creepy background music bed. And so every month I do that. There's postcards. I paint freaky Japanese kind of, they can be anything. The one I just did last time was the Jimengyo, the fish that has a human face. So I did a funky one. That's part of the patron thing, and little care packages, like little envelopes with stuff like food or whatever, stationary goods. So that's really fun. I really appreciate, like, incredibly everyone that's supporting me, and everyone's so sweet and so supportive, and it's just a wonderful little community. So that too, I didn't think it would be as wonderful as it is, but it really is. These people are amazing.
Good. No, I actually that's the one thing I haven't been able to check out yet. Is I want to listen to these stories, so I'm gonna have to become a patron now, so I can.
Oh, I'll send you some.
Okay. But everybody should go check it out. It's a lot of fun there, and we're now trying to step on Patreon. So if you guys haven't checked that out yet, we have extra episodes, and you get first lining questions for grammar too. So you go check out our Patreon. Just search up Manga Sensei or Uncanny Japan, and you can find both of those on their fancy little website. But with that, we do have to run. Terry leads a busy life, and I gotta edit this before the day's up. So. Because I want to get this taken care of, because I've been putting this off so everyone knows. We've actually interviewed Terry twice, and she's been kind enough to go through this, but unfortunately I either lose files or something happens to my computer as the first time, and so I want everyone to know how kind she's been to not only come on once, not only twice, but 3 times to retell but how exciting her stuff is, though. So we really do appreciate it, Terry. Thank you so much.
Thank you. No, thank you.
All right. Well, remember, everybody, it takes 10,000 mistakes to become fluent in Japanese, but it becomes a lot easier when you can find something that you really, really enjoy doing. So if you like Japanese folktales, you like stories, you like creepy stories like my wife does or Terry does, and y'all can enjoy scary things by yourself over there. Definitely go check out Uncanny Japan. All of her links will be down below in the show notes, so make sure to check that out as well. And I will see you guys tomorrow. Until then, ja ne.
Bye-bye. Thank you.